Hey everyone, Vicky here. I hope you're well. So I am making a batch of these gorgeous cards with slightly different penguins. So I'm going to show you how I do that. So these are using the holiday penguins stamps from My Favourite Things. All the different penguins in the trees. And I've already stamped out all the stars to go on top of the trees and some of the penguins. So these are all the sheets I've stamped to give me 15 trees and 15 penguins. I'm not including the ones I've already coloured. So I'm going to show you my colouring process for one page of these. This is the Alpine Green blend of the Tri-Blend brush markers. And I can finally say it. It's only taken me a couple of months to get the hang of it. So every card will have the tree and a penguin on, and then a different background and then the snowy glitter card. So for the tree, I am laying down a layer of the lightest shade on this pen. So the brush markers, they do have some variance between the brush markers and the standard tri-blends in terms of colour. So there's only 24 of the brush markers, but there are 48 of the main tri-blends. I did print out a Spectrum Noir colour sheet, and I was actually quite pleasantly surprised by how many colours I actually do have just from having the standard and the brush tri-blends. I have quite a complete colour chart with the exception of a few, which is good. So my plan is to try and use both sets in conjunction with each other more to get some different blends. However, as I was saying, the Alpine Green blend is the same in both the standard blend, tri-blends and these ones. Because this is a brush nib, it's much easier to cover a large area. And I mean, the tree is not huge, but it is quite a lot of area. So I find it easier with the brush markers, and I think it blends really nicely as well. So I'm just adding the darkest colour under where the branches are visible, so that you can see where the shade will be, and then blending that out slightly with the mid shade, and then I'm going over the entire thing again with the lighter shade, just to make, obviously when you layer up alcohol markers they do get slightly darker anyway, so it just adds a little bit more depth to the colour of the tree, which I wanted, rather than being quite so bright. And it also helps to obviously blend the other two shades out a bit as well. So this is the second tree that I've coloured, and I think I'm getting the knack of it, although I have realised when looking at the cards completed there is a tiny bit of branch where it's an overlay that I forgot to shade. I think it's on this one, which annoyed me slightly when I looked at it, but I can live with it. It'll be absolutely fine. It's not going to ruin it. This is the dark red blend, again in the brush marker. So in the normal tri-blends there are 2 pens in the dark red range, whereas this one covers pretty much both pens in one almost. So it has one of the colours from the lighter one and then 2 of the darker shades. Or is it 2 from the first one and 1 from the darker one? Either way, between the 2 markers I do fill out the 3 marker pens, I do fill out pretty much the entire dark red section of the Spectrum Noir range, which is pretty good. This is the earth brown blend for the trunk, so I'm only using a 2-tone shading for the trunk. I felt that was enough for such a small area, so I've coloured the whole lot in the mid shade, and then I'm adding the darker shade under the branches and to one side, and then just blending that out again with the lighter one again. And that's the tree done. The penguins, I'm using the same 3 pens for all of them, so the brown grey blend in the brush marker, and then the brown grey blend and the brown grey shades in the standard tri-blend. All the penguins are starting off exactly the same way, which is with a layer of the lightest of the brush ones, which is also the same shade as the lightest of the standard tri-blends as well. So this is the BG2. I had to think about which one that was. And then use the darker one to get the darkest. And then I think most of these penguins have variations on the theme of just how dark and how many different shades I use in, depending on how much space there is in the penguin to shade. So some of them are a bit lighter than others, some of them are a bit darker, because obviously from the penguins I've seen, you know, when we go Flamingoland Zoo and stuff, they do have varying shades, and I wanted them all to be different variants of grey rather than just all black. Because I thought the back was a bit harsh for the Christmas cards that I wanted to do, and also, as I say, the greys do give me that option to have slight differences in the colouring. So again, as you can see, the 2 goes down, and then I kind of work from there with the colours that I want to use. You'll see me move my pen away and kind of, you can't see me tilt my head, but I'm kind of tilting my head to work out which bits are meant to be the grey bits of the penguin. That's what the little delays in it are. The reason I am doing a bunch of these is that a very lovely friend asked me to do some Christmas cards for her small business, so she can send those out. So I had a think, and I had a chat with her, and we decided this was quite a nice little option for the cards. So this is the second of the cards, and I'm doing 15 in total for her. So they're all going to be the same theory, so they'll all have the same Christmas tree, but there are 4 different penguins. So there's 3 that are stamped on this image, and then there's one that's kind of like the one that I'm about to colour now, but the last image, he has both his little wings, fins, whatever they are, out to the side, raised. He's kind of like jumping in excitement. But he's obviously stamped on some other pages because I couldn't fit them onto this size little piece of card. I've taken to cutting some of my stamping card down to this size, which I think is 4 by 5 3/4, which is my standard rough card size now. And to put it into my Misty, because I have the Misty Mini. However, I could probably fit the other penguin on, but there wouldn't have been much room around him, and I wanted to make sure there was plenty of room for the corresponding dies to go around, because me and fussy cutting are not friends. I can't get it even, and I have the dies for that very reason, so it just made much more sense to do it this way. So I'm going to do their bellies next. So this is my Copic blender, which I'm ever so slightly in love with. It's a really nice juicy blender. And then I'm using the lightest of the greys again. So to do the white sections on the penguins, I don't want to leave them completely white. It kind of just looks like I've only made a half attempt. So I am colouring the white sections in with the Copic blender to lay down a layer of alcohol. Then going over the shaded areas with a thin line of the lightest grey shade again. And then I am using the blender to blend that back out again. So it just gives them a hint of shadow in there. I've used this technique a few times now, and I really like doing it. It just adds enough of a pop of colour that it doesn't look flat in those areas. I have on some cards, I've also used some pink shades to do that, and I've used some blue shades to do that, depending on what the image is. But obviously with this being a little penguin, I thought that the grey shade was the way to go in terms of which colour to use for that. So excuse me. So I just need to finish off these little guys. It looks even nicer once it dries. I'm really pleased with how all these penguins have been turning out. It is a labour of love doing these cards. It's a lot of colouring, but I really enjoy it, so I can't say that it's really that horrible. I just have to give myself a little break, otherwise I get a crick in my neck. I think penguins for Christmas cards are just super, super cute. There's something about a penguin, and these penguins in particular are adorable. Like I saw the stamp set and I just fell in love. I was like, it has to be mine. They're just so cute, especially the one with the little antlers on his head and the one struggling with his big present. So for these, I'm just using the burnt orange. It might jump slightly because when I was recording the video, my dad called me right here. And it made it jump. Well, it stopped the recording, but luckily I noticed. Thank goodness. I'm using the purple blend first of all for the parcel. Yeah, my recording stops if my phone rings. So he had a very quick message off me going, I'm trying to record something, I'll call you back. And then I resumed my recording. So I'm laying down again the lightest shade in full on all the bits of the present that would be the lightest shade. And then I am using the darkest shade for the bits furthest away, so they're the outside edges. And it'll come towards the lightest shade again in the middle. Which is just how I colour presents when they have this kind of shape to them. I really want to know what's in this present. I just feel like it looks like it must be something really, really cool for it to be this big. Although it's probably not that big because penguins aren't technically that big. But still, it's adorable. And again, I think the blending on the present actually works really nicely to give it that depth of look to it. And then the gold yellow blend is the one I decided to use on the ribbon. But then I decided to use the tri-blend version of it. Not the tri-blend, the brush tri-blend version of it. You can see where I sort of get myself a little bit confused, but at least I can say tri-blend brush now, which is, good. Again, this is just a 2 blend colour for these I'm using. The ribbon is incredibly super fine on these, and I felt that trying to fit a 3 blend in was more like trying to shoehorn the colours in rather than actually doing what was best to make them look nice. And I think with just the 2, it does look nice anyway. I kind of forgot about his little hat at this point, I'm not going to lie. So I moved on to the coral shades for this one. So I again laid down the lightest colour again. I think on the first one of these I coloured, I actually used the lighter shade from the brush set first to lay it down, but it's worked exactly the same. So then darker on the outside, fading to the lighter shade on the inside, at the bottom of his scarf. And it's just nice to not be completely red, I think. These are the jade green, I think the blends on these version of the tri-blends, but there's only one jade green set in the brush ones. Anyway, so it's the jade green set in the brush ones that I'm using. Again, with the baubles, I just want to have the light coming from one side and I managed to actually put a 3 shade blend in here because the darkest to the lightest were slightly further apart. If you can hear any clunking, it's just someone going in the garage downstairs. And then back to the earth brown shades, and I'm just colouring in just with one pen his little antlers. They are super, super fine. It took a lot of concentration to stay in the lines colouring these bits in, I'm not going to lie. And then I think the last one to do is the dark red blend again, and that's just for, this is me remembering that guy's little hat. So just to colour his hat in, and then also to colour the hat on the other guy. He does get a bit more of a blend on his hat because obviously there's more of his hat visible. So I'm just shading that in. That again I just used as a 2 colour blend because it was so teeny tiny. And then I used the palest of the pale pinks with my blender again to use the same technique I used on the bodies on the white bits of the hat. So the little bauble on that one, and then the band and the bauble on the other one. And I think it looks nice using the pink to do that, obviously with them having red on the hat. So it's almost like there's that bit of tint or shade from the hat into the fuzz. It's kind of how I'm viewing that. So that's them coloured in, and then except they're die cut. Ta-da! So this paper is also my favourite things pad, and then I've cut using the honeybee stitched hillside dies the snowy bottom piece. So I'm just using double-sided tape to stick down my background. So these paper pads, I got 2 of the Christmas paper pads from my favourite things, and I've just realised I don't actually show you the pad on here, and I'm just layering this at the top as well, just so you know what I'm doing. So there are quite a few options in there where it's shades of blues and turquoises with either snowflakes or little white dots that look like further away snowflakes. So they will be the ones that I'm using. So I'm literally, it's a 6x6 pad. I've literally cut them in half. So each piece will have 2 backgrounds done with it. And then I cut the silver glitter card to 1.5 inches and then just did the snowy bordery part as close to the top as I could go, basically. So I've put down some tape, sorry, my brain just totally lost it there, some tape runner against the bottom of the card to give it that extra hold, but then I'm also using glue to give me a little bit of wiggle room when I first put it on. And that's that stuck down there. You'll see I got a little tiny bit of glue on my desk as well, which was kind of annoying. So I'm just using a bit of kitchen roll just to take the excess glue off that bit there and off the table, so that I can take my scissors to snip that little excess off there, so that the front of the card is all nice and even. And I do like the little glitter versions of the snow. Kind of wish I had some white glitter card, but I don't. May have to be an investment for next year if I'm going to do more like this. So I just wanted to place them down just to get exactly where they were going, and then I'm going to stick them down with glue. Obviously my friend will be posting these, so I want to make sure there's not much dimension in terms of too much height, because I don't want her to have to pay extra when she posts them or anything if they were too bulky. This is just a 4x5 3/4 card as well, and that is just a pot of my Gildan wax that I'm using. It's probably the heaviest pot I had to hand that was about the right size, just to hold those down and make sure they get a really nice firm adhesion. Check out that nice posh word. And then I'm just going to stick that little guy there, so it kind of looks like he's sat a bit closer in the trees off in the hill. So I'll pop the Gildan wax over him, and then I will try very, very carefully to stick this teeny tiny star down. It's a nightmare trying to stick these little pieces, but they are much easier to get to stay. And then that is the card done. That's just me trying to make sure he stays down. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please feel free to like and subscribe. These are both of the videos, both of the cards, which I love. Thanks guys for watching, and I will be back with another video soon. Bye.